Tonight, jobs in renewable energy are not being created quickly enough to offset the losses in the North Sea oil and gas sector, according to a new report. Also tonight, as Aberdeen City Council proposes a 12% rent rise, there's a call to urgently fill 1,800 empty council homes in the city to halt the housing crisis. And in sport, Jimmy Tilleen says Aberdeen must learn from their Greek tragedy as the Dons concede 6 in Athens. I'm Andrea Breimer. This is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. Good evening. Jobs in renewables and clean energy are not being created quickly enough to offset the losses in the North Sea oil and gas sector. That's according to Westminster's Scottish Affairs Committee, whose report today says around 75,000 oil and gas jobs have been lost between 2016 and last year. And it highlighted industry estimates that around 1,000 direct and indirect jobs could be lost every month between now and 2030, saying there are compelling arguments to slow the decline in oil and gas and meet demand from domestic sources. Stephen Brown has more.
The number of jobs in the UK's oil and gas sector is already falling. It's estimated 5,000 were lost between 2023 and 2024 alone. And there are fears far more will continue to go. Now a UK Parliament committee says the number of jobs being created in the renewable sector is not keeping pace with the number of losses in oil and gas.
People we've taken in evidence from in the industry are concerned, and we think therefore government needs to be concerned too. So we would like to see the government introduce a plan. The announcement they made last weekend about an increase in jobs in the renewable sector and a plan to get to that target is very, very welcome. But we'd like to see that plan and we'd like to see it implemented as quickly as possible.
That announcement last weekend was a promise from the UK government to create 400,000 extra clean jobs within 5 years. Today's report says the decline in oil and gas shouldn't be accelerated though until more of those clean jobs are created.
It's reasonable, given especially what the northeast of Scotland has experienced in terms of the decline of oil and gas supported jobs, to think that we should be doing more to stem that. But at this point, we know that we've had licensing for a decade. That hasn't changed that picture, and that there is an opportunity to actually grow a clean energy workforce in support of Scotland's massive renewable resource. And now the government has finally, in the last week, come up with the beginning of a plan to do that.
The committee also say while oil and gas is still needed, then there are compelling arguments to meet as much of that need as possible from domestic sources. Unions say this report must act as a wake-up call to both governments.
What we would hope that the UK government and the Scottish government starts grabbing the bull by the horn and invest in those renewables, carbon capture, etc., securing the jobs just now so that people can transfer.
Next month, the Chancellor will set out the UK government's budget. On tax, this report says a new tax regime to replace the Energy Profits Levy must come in as soon as possible to bring certainty to the sector, something the industry has said for some time.
When prices are high, of course, taxes are more, but we're back into a very normal set of prices and a very normal sector time for the industry. And the tax is holding things back. We need to find a way to invest more and do more in a really competitive environment.
The Scottish Government say they've invested £120 million to support the North East transition. The UK Government argue they've taken rapid steps to deliver the next generation of good jobs for North Sea workers in a fair and orderly transition.
Well, Stephen is here, and this report really does make it quite clear what the situation is in the industry right now.
Yeah, the Scottish Affairs Committee obviously produced this after taking evidence from a number of people in and around the industry. So perhaps some of the points we have heard before. I think it's interesting, particularly when you talk about the North Sea licensing. It calls for a pragmatic approach to policy. It says the government should set out how perhaps developers in the future could have new drilling in existing exploration licences. Now, of course, some might question whether, at the very least, that's certainly flexing, if not slightly breaking the pre-election pledge from Labour. It talks about Grangemouth too, saying there wasn't enough of a plan there. I think it certainly puts the onus onto the UK government, raises questions over whether or not policies like no new drilling in the North Sea and the windfall tax, they were obviously brought in for certain reasons, whether or not they have had the impact that they were brought in for, or if in fact they've had some unintended consequences, and if perhaps they need to be reassessed.
Stephen, thank you. Unions and organisations in Aberdeen are calling on the local authority to urgently fill the more than 1,800 empty council homes in the city. Campaigners say Aberdeen City has significantly more empty council houses than anywhere else in Scotland. It comes as the local authority is also proposing a 12% rent rise to council properties next year. Gráinne Grehan reports.
A problem too big to ignore. Housing campaigners delivered an open letter to Aberdeen City Council today, calling for the housing crisis to be addressed urgently. Organisers say Aberdeen now has more empty council properties than anywhere else in Scotland, with the number of vacant homes now sitting at more than 1,800, 500 more than last year.
The council needs to get its act together and start actually putting money towards this, you know. Like, we think that a big part of the problem has been massive cuts to staffing in these areas dealing with these things over the last 10, 20 years. And that needs to start changing so that we can start getting these properties back in use.
It's been more than a year since a housing emergency was declared in the city, but campaigners say enough isn't being done to address the issue. Earlier this year, the housing regulator said Aberdeen's homeless services were at a heightened risk of systemic failure.
Rent prices have been very quickly rising over the last few years. And we've seen a growing homelessness crisis, a cost of living crisis, and in the middle of all of this, both private landlords and the council themselves are planning to try and leech as much money out of the poorest people in the city as they can.
And there's concerns the scale of the housing crisis will only increase. The local authority is also considering raising the cost of rent by 12%. Michael is one of the many tenants across the city concerned about the impact such an increase could have on those already struggling to make ends meet.
A large increase, but you just wonder, structurally, what's going on underneath. I think it's indicative of a larger problem, that seems to be going on. You've got the underlying cost of energy as well, and you've got the cost of food has gone up as well.
A spokesperson from Aberdeen City Council says any increases would be to ensure good quality services and for improvements and upgrades to homes. Gráinne Grehan, STV News.
With Bonfire Night just around the corner, Police Scotland is dedicating more resources than ever before to tackle crimes involving fireworks as part of Operation Moonbeam. More than 60 people were reported for their involvement in firework offences last year, while in 2023, attacks left 62 officers injured. Finlay Jack has more.
Remember the 5th of November. What's usually a night for colour, noise and celebration, in recent years has taken a darker turn. These riots in the Kirkton area of Dundee 3 years ago led to charges for 33 people. That antisocial behaviour has continued across the country.
Last year, during an 8-hour period on Bonfire Night alone, there was 9 attacks on our crews. There was 10 attacks on our crews over the full Bonfire Moonbeam period, all to varying severity.
In 2023, attacks like this left 62 police officers injured, but that number fell to just 1 last year.
As we move now into the period just around Bonfire Night, you're going to see a very, very significant policing presence in areas that previously saw disorder. And we've seen the courts hand out some really, really significant sentences for the violence that was shown last year, and I really, really welcome that.
Today sees the launch of Operation Moonbeam, as emergency services work together to tackle violence and disorder. Since its launch in 2018, firework offences have reduced, but targeting of emergency services is on the up.
We have seen an increase in this behaviour since 2018. The police, Scottish Fire Rescue, Operation Moonboom, they work really closely together. There's a lot of work that goes into Bonfire Night. There's a lot of intelligence in the background. So I am confident that we will see a decrease.
The Crown Office says that anyone engaging in this type of behaviour will be dealt with rigorously by the justice system. Meanwhile, Police Scotland is dedicating more resource than ever before to prevent attacks and keep the streets safe. Finlay Jack, STV News.
Police are investigating irregularities in the finances of the Alba party. A statement from the force said the issue was reported in May, 2 months after Kenny McCaskill beat Ash Regan for the leadership of the party. An Alba spokesperson said a number of internal financial and administrative irregularities have come to light following a review. Police Scotland says investigations are ongoing. The legal team in the Sheku Bayou inquiry have resigned days after the chairperson also stepped down. Lord Brackadale quit following questions of impartiality. 5 members of the legal council he appointed have now also resigned. The Scottish Police Federation say the legal team's decision to withdraw underlines the concerns they raised. A former Secretary of State has accused the Scottish Government of being utterly irresponsible in the way it tried to implement its deposit return scheme for drinks containers. Lord Alistair Jack was giving evidence at the Court of Session where the waste management company Biffa is seeking more than £50 million in damages. But Lorna Slater, who was the minister responsible for the project, said she hadn't envisaged the UK Government blocking it.
Did you try to sabotage the Scottish Government over DRS?
No, I'm a big fan of DRS, and as I said in court, I hope we'll be having a DRS scheme in 2027 across the United Kingdom.
How do you assess their efforts to get to this point, though?
I can't comment on the case because I've just given evidence. I'm not allowed to comment further.
Lorna Slater began giving evidence this afternoon and will resume on Tuesday when the court sits again. Now, a fire engine donated to Palestinian firefighters could be sent back to Scotland after it was impounded by Israel. The Fire Brigades Union in Tayside donated the vehicle last year. The Palestinian town of Nablus now faces mounting costs of approximately £16,000 in port fees. The FBU stated the reason given was the vehicle's right-hand drive.
We have engaged with the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. We've engaged with our brothers and sisters in Palestine and obviously with the authorities that have sent the appliance and obviously brought them back. So we've kept in touch with the Scottish Government, the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, the Scottish TUC and all the other bodies that have supported us. And what we've said to them is to bring as much political pressure to bear from the UK and Scotland onto the Israeli authorities, and that is happening currently. So we've asked the Foreign Commonwealth Office to take the decisive action, ask the Israelis to release it, and if they're not going to release it, to help with the fees, and then obviously we would then see the repatriation of the vehicle.
A new government-led task force is to be set up to tackle the issue of social care in the Highlands. It was announced at a summit to examine how to better look after the region's increasingly elderly population as the gulf between people needing care and what services are available in remote and rural areas grows wider. Here's Nicola McCalley.
Moss Park Care Home at Coole near Fort William was saved from closure last year following a community campaign, meaning residents like Betty Calder could stay local to their own homes.
Well, she wouldn't have had any visitors. She would have been out of her area, no connection to anybody.
The number of people aged over 75 living in the West Highlands has increased by more than 70% over the last 22 years. But the amount of care beds in the region has dropped by 18%. These findings prompted local MP Angus MacDonald to organise today's Highland Care Conference.
There's been a 154 million spent in the last 10 years on delayed discharges in the Highlands. If that money had not been wasted on having people in hospitals where they don't want to be, and instead building, say, care clusters on the west, that would have transformed the quality of life of these elderly people.
A new government-led group's now going to examine how to tackle the distinct challenges the area's landscape and rural communities present, such as housing, recruitment and retention of care workers.
I'm delighted that through discussions with the Minister for Social Care, Tom Arthur, he has agreed to support a Highland-led task force on models of care in the Highlands, because we know that our communities are very distinctive, got a lot of small communities struggling with depopulation.
Care experts say it's vital for people's well-being that they can remain close to where they feel at home.
People belong in their communities, and many individuals want to live to the end of their days in the place that is giving them meaning, where they're known, where they're familiar. And that whenever we rip people out of their communities, then we do huge physical and psychological damage to them.
With the increasingly ageing population of the Highlands and Islands, the subject of social care is one that will only continue to grow. It's hoped today's summit can begin to take the steps to tackle this complex issue. Nicola McCally, STV News.
A mother from Blairgowrie is calling for an end to ultra-processed foods in school meals. It comes as her child was offered only meat substitutes like soya nuggets and burgers instead of whole foods. Food Standards Scotland is warning too many children are eating it. Perth and Kinross Council said it is committed to a school meal service that provides nutritious options for all.
I don't need my kids to have a meat option at school. I'm quite happy for it to be a vegetarian option, but just something that's not ultra processed. What's wrong with a soup or, a vegetable lasagna or something that they can have? It's the fact that every single option is an ultra processed option.
A barrier is being installed at Lochleven's Burley Sands car park this winter after rising problems with antisocial dirty camping. Nature Scott says staff have faced abuse and threats, while litter and human waste have been left behind, putting off local visitors. Perth and Kinross councillors unanimously approved the barrier to curb camper vans and protect wildlife. Access on foot will remain open as Nature Scott works to restore the beauty spot. Now, Dundee has a proud history of producing great boxers, and in more recent years, Lochee specifically has seen some of its best talent go on to claim Commonwealth gold. But the area's boxing club, which has been going almost 80 years, is at capacity and in desperate need of more space. Now, a £100,000 investment from Sports Scotland has taken them a step closer to making that a reality, as Fraser Nicholl has been finding out.
Punching out. Nice and sharp on the bounce.
These young boxers have to be quick off the mark to even get to these sessions. This place is full most nights of the week, with classes helping them prepare for upcoming fights, make friends and keep fit.
My friend at school was a Scottish champion boxer, and he got me to come along one day. Come along training session, and that was it. I got hooked, didn't look back.
I've had 11 fights, Scottish champion.
We have my third fight this weekend, Novice Championships, so looking forward to that.
You learn great life skills as well, just outside of the boxing and inside.
There are nearly 400 members here at Lochee Boys and Girls Club, but that's it at capacity. There are waiting lists to even get in. It's one of 10 sports clubs getting a share of £1 million in Sports Scotland funding, which coaches hope will help them meet demand.
It'd make it a lot easier for the coaches because you'd have the rings for them to spar in, hopefully have 3 rings up. Inviting clubs through for sparring would be brilliant. Just the extra space would be better because we've had to knock people back when it's too busy.
The club wants to reach more of the community, women and girls, people with disabilities and those from more rural areas around Dundee. This latest cash injection takes them about 85% of the way to the required funding.
It'll be transformational for us. I mean, we've got plans to extend the property itself to the side and to the rear, which will double our sort of floor space and capacity in terms of the boxing. We'll be able to have 2 full rings out the back, but also to open this place up, for other groups and other charities to use, and for the people of Lochee to make best use of it during the day when we're not.
The club will soon start a final fundraising push to get them over the line and hope to start building by the new year in what could be the next big success story of boxing in the city. Fraser Nichol, STV News.
It's time now for sport. Stephanie's here. That was quite a night last night for Aberdeen.
It was, Andrea. It's no Greek myth. It was a bit of a tragedy in Athens last night, but they're hoping to right the wrongs in the league on Sunday.
We've got a quick turnaround.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
A very good evening to you. Jimmy Tillene says his side have to learn from their record 6-0 Europa Conference League defeat away to Athens. The Don's boss says Sunday's visit of Hibs is a chance to apologise to the Red Army for their biggest European loss.
We have to learn from this and we have a journey to do to grow and prepare ourselves for this level. But of course it went too far and all the chances to create it was too much, and that's why you need to find a way as a collective and a capacity to we have to stop it here now. But football sometimes is really strange when all these kind of things come in, early goals, emotions, the balance of the team, and so there we have a journey to do as a group, and this is the best way we can show our fans and hands up and apologise is to go out and really strong performance on Sunday at home at Petrodry. Decide on themselves as a collective and as individual on Sunday. And this is the way of football and sports in general. When you get these tough results and all these emotions, the best you have to move on and focus on the next game. You can't stay in this moment right now. We can't do anything about it right now. So we have to move on and focus on the next game.
We weren't quite the Ferrari, but we're Range Rover Sport I'll go for tonight. So, hopefully we have no more Morris Minors in the performance. Not that they're a bad car, they're a fantastic car and amazing. So, but no, I think we showed the level with determination tonight, and that's what I expect to see going forward.
Well, back to domestic matters now. Dundee United boss Jim Goodwin says club captain Ross Graham looks set to return to training next month after making great progress. It comes as Goodwin prepares to welcome his former club St Mirren to Tannadice tomorrow. With more, here's Callum Clark.
This was the last time Ross Graham appeared for Dundee United, scoring the only goal in a 1-0 win in Dingwall in March. Since then, he's been appointed club captain, but is yet to play this season after undergoing surgery in the summer on a persistent hamstring injury. Now his manager says his return to training is not far away.
Ross Graham and Max Waters are making great progress. I would expect to have those guys back in with the group training probably 2.5-3 weeks from now. Obviously we will then need to work hard on their fitness. We'll need to try and organise a friendly game as well towards the end of November, because we want them to be ready and prepared properly for what's going to be an extremely busy schedule when we go into that Christmas period.
But Goodwin's immediate attention is on tomorrow's home match against St Mirren, with the 5 teams below United in the league separated by just 1 point.
It's far too early to say, where teams are going to finish up. So I don't think that's a priority right now, focusing on position in the league table. It's more the priority is geared around consistency in our performances.
Dundee United made 14 summer signings. Ever present in goals has been Yevgeny Kucherenko, and the Ukrainian says he's growing in confidence between the United sticks.
Now I feel comfortable here, and I know what I need to do in the corner kicks and the free kicks. So now I can say, sure, I have a good adaptation already.
Across the city, and Dundee are looking to back up last weekend's shock win against Celtic when they visit Falkirk.
Our mindset of the weekend was that of an elite level. Now, when the margins are so fine, that have been the case with all our games bar Aberdeen, we need that elite mindset.
Elsewhere in the Premiership, top of the table Hearts welcome Celtic before Rangers host Kilmarnock and new manager Danny Rule's league debut. Livingston and Motherwell are also in action. Callum Clark, STV Sport.
Into the Championship now, and this man, Simo Valakari, St Johnstone are out to bounce back from their first defeat of the season at Morton tomorrow. Partick Thistle have now moved level on points with Saints at the top of the Championship after their win in midweek. Elsewhere, Ross County host Dunfermline, while Arbroath visit Airdrie.
Now it's a new challenge how we handle this situation, and that's why it's very interesting to see how we come out of this. And I believe in our players. They are very good players. They are very strong characters. And now we need to come, and we need to be better. We need to be stronger. We need to be more stable for the next match. And it doesn't get any easier to go Morton and play away there.
A big weekend of sport ahead. That's all from me for tonight.
Your window to sport. CR Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Well, time for the weather forecast now. Sean is here, and it's that weekend that you know I hate, when the clocks change.
I love it. I love it. All you need to do is just get yourself some lovely scented candles to light so those dark evenings come back in. But yeah, I love when you get these dark evenings. And of course, yes, the clocks go back. We'll be losing more daylight by the end of next week. Halloween, we'll be putting the lights on about 4 o'clock. The northeast of the country, you've probably had the lights on all day with that rain around. We've had about an inch of rain in areas just around the A96 and eastwards. So a lot of rain around, a bit more showery, a windy day to come tomorrow, cold as well. Let's look at the forecast.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So we've had a very, very wet day in the northeast of the country. Thanks to the Grampians, though, it's just been breaking that rain up a wee bit more for us. So the rain's been a bit more showery, and it remains quite showery through tonight. But for many of us, it becomes drier later on. And those temperatures, at least with the wind around, it prevents it from getting too cold, 5-6 degrees Celsius. But some spots, maybe 1 or 2 of our glens, we could see temperatures down to about 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. Now, tomorrow, there will be some showers around. Most of those showers will be across the Grampians, but 1 or 2 just managing to penetrate through. But for most of us, it is going to be a dry day with sunshine. And yes, that's not your eyes playing tricks. Some snow over the mountains, the Munros. Of course, nothing out of the ordinary for the time of year, but just a sign of a change. If you're heading up into the mountains, could be something a little bit wintry. Now, we've not done a tour for a while, but let's have a look at this. We have got lots of sunshine tomorrow, given that northerly, maybe Perthshire, seeing 1 or 2 showers. And I've also popped the wind arrows on for you because we're still going to have a strong wind, most noticeable by the time we get to the Fife coast and also the Angus coast. And in that wind, yes, OK, it's lovely and sunny, but your highs are only 7 degrees, probably feeling quite a bit chillier in that wind. But a beautiful day to come tomorrow for most of us. Sunny, but rather chilly, clouding over with some rain later on Sunday. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And that's it for tonight, and indeed this week. And yeah, don't forget to put those clocks back before your bed on Saturday night. From the team here, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.